Hope everyone's having a great third day. I would like to welcome up our panelists for today. If you can all make your way to the stage. Welcome, the stadium. Welcome, Jessica, if you'd like to come up. So Jessica is our Deputy Managing Director for Pleiku Hotels Group by Zalai Tourists. We have Irene, founder of Lightpath Leadership. We have Lars already here waiting nice and patiently, General Manager of Meridien. And we have Johann. He is Department General Secretary from Pradita University from Indonesia. And Harry, Cluster General Manager for the Luxe Saigon and Chowdok. And myself, I'm the Group Training Manager for Thien Group. So I guess first of all, we'll start off with everyone sharing a little bit about themselves. And just to touch on the last couple of days, it was shared, I believe, by Minh the other day from the University of Economics in the Crafting F&B Synergies. What was interesting was the new generation. The statement that I wrote down is a problem. And how do we manage this new generation? And what I also thought was interesting was from James' panel, one of the points on mitigating risk in hotel investments was about talent retention. And obviously today there's been a lot of mention about training and the last couple of days about talent retention. So hopefully we can obviously delve into that in this panel. So let's start with the ladies first. So Jessica, if you'd like to introduce. Well, after you introduce, we're going to start off with saying, what do we love about the new generation?
Okay.
Also.
Thank you, Anne. And good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dinh, and you can also call me Jessica. I have a background as an educator in hospitality, and I was also a former director of a French program, if you know the Vatel, the International Hospitality Program. And at the moment I'm managing hotel chains actually it's my hometown, so you will see a very distinctive city pop up, which is Pleiku is my hometown, and I'm managing hotel chains and restaurant chains there. So today I'm here to bring not only the educator points of view to share about the Gen Z, but also from the operator, from the manager points of view of how we have been working, treating and embracing this new generation. I have been teaching and working with the new generation for 7 years, I believe, and I have seen them changing a lot. We have a lot of bias and perception about Generation Z, which is the new generation at the moment, and I think we have misunderstood them a lot too. So what I really love about them is they are very, very active and innovative because they're growing up with technology. So when you work with them, you have to change as well. So you have to come up with a new way to teach, new way to approach them, and new way to make them create. So it's really about the two-way relationship when you work with the Generation Z, because it's about what we give for them and what they give for us. So that's what I really love when I work with them, because it allows me to change myself a lot in order to learn and to get along with them. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you, Jessica. Irene?
Hello, everyone. Fantastic, and thank you for inviting me as a leadership development expert into a hospitality conference. So my name's Irene. Here in Ho Chi Minh City, I founded a leadership development consultancy called Lightpath Leadership. Exactly, it's your light path right into leadership. I want to contribute to this panel both my expertise, which I think is as long as Gen Z is old, so 20 plus years in the field, and specifically in the last 2 years I've had the enormous honor and joy to be invited to design and now lead a program for women in hospitality across Vietnam. It's called Her Turn, and Her Turn, I would say, is Vietnam's most ambitious program, trying or our vision really is to build the foundation for change, to see more women in leading positions in Vietnam. And we will, after 3 years, we will have 60 women across Vietnam, literally from Phu Quoc to Lao Cai, gone through this program, and hopefully with a community of male allies as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene.
I've got my own. So I'm Lars, the general manager of the Meridien Saigon, in the hospitality industry as well for quite a couple of years already. And I think what I love about the young generation and the new talent is something that, especially after COVID, we lost quite a bit of talent, right? So we have to regain that, and we have to pay attention to that. And their focus on really dedication, being tech savvy, being ambitious, and want to move, and their flexibility is something which is really great to see, and where we have to change as well our perspective on how we look at jobs, how we look at career developments and all of that. It's very different to the generation I belong to, unfortunately, as well. It's a very different focus there, a very different ambition, much more flexibility, and that is something which I really like about it. And as mentioned before as well, if you're not tech savvy, if your company is not tech savvy, you will not attract this kind of people. So that is a key role, I think, in there.
Thank you, Lars. And back to you, Irene, to answer that question.
Sorry, bad panelist. I forgot my brief. 3 words about Gen Z. What I love, creativity, open mindset / local, so global as well as local. And they're very expressive. And we have 2 Gen Z on the panel. I'm sure we'll hear that too.
Now is your chance.
Right, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for the invite to the amazing Committee of Hospitality Vietnam Conference. This is actually my first time here in Vietnam. I've done a lot of research regarding Vietnam, Vietnamese workforce, comparing Indonesia and Vietnam as well. But this is actually my first time physically being here, so it's with great honor to be here and to be joined by giants from the hospitality industry. I feel really small to be here on stage today, but thank you once again for this opportunity. A bit of myself, I am an academic lecturer back in Indonesia, and I teach modules regarding culture, development, usually all human development aspects in the hospitality industry. So yeah, because my background is HR as well, I still work as a headhunter as well till today. Yeah, that's a bit about myself. And well, what I love most regarding Gen Z, I would totally lie if I would say that this is not the best generation, because I was born in 1997, which makes me a Generation Z. And yet today, as Irene was mentioning as well, because this is Friday afternoon, I would try not to talk more academics or more like boring stuff. Probably I'll give much more of an explanation from the Gen Z perspectives today. But what I love about them most is the dramas. Every day in a workplace, there will always be new dramas when you have Gen Zs around. And actually, with all these dramas created by them, it's actually what forces us to grow, you know? Sometimes we always think that growth is actually, it has to come from the outside, what our customers think, what our competitors are doing. But actually, like inside, you can grow from the inside. Like from these problems, there would be solutions. And solutions, there would be opportunities. And usually, Gen Zs are the ones bringing these opportunities. Thank you very much, Anne. Back to you.
Trust me, dramas are not owned by this generation only.
Well, new kinds of drama, I guess.
All right, Harry.
Yes, my turn. Harry, I'm Luxe General Manager at the local hotel Saigon and Châu Đốc. And I'm very proud to be here to say about this topic in panel discussion with other panelists. And in my opinion, I have a chance to work with some Gen Z staff. They are very active, reactive, and passionate. And they also good at technology and social media. I'm very glad about them. And I would like to share a little bit about their behavior. According to some results of several studies, the new generation, they have the focus on the mental health and diversity diversity. Most of Gen Z say that mental health is very important to them. And also they are a self-driver for self-driver take care of other people and try for develop community and value flexibility, authenticity, relevant and non-hierarchical leadership. In my interaction with them, I'm much more likely than I used to be to listen to slowly to what they say and to refrain for making a judgment that of their value, their idea, their behavior, based on assumption that they are wrong and I'm right. And that's all I would like to share about what I like about the Gen Z and also the behavior centric to the new generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. So for those who don't know TMG, so we're a travel company which we have DMC, airline, hospitality, mostly owner-operated and online as well. So maybe a lot of you know ivyview.com. So I am in charge of training for the hospitality pillar, but actually my background is not training, it's mostly operations. And what I love about the new generation, I'm just going to say new generation as a general term, is I actually find it fascinating. And I think some of you still here find it fascinating seeing the world through their eyes. I ran a leadership workshop in Hanoi a week ago, and we were going through everyone's personal brand values. They had to choose 1 to 3 values. And the one Generation Z person had the most unique values out of everybody else, and it was discernment and non-attachment. And I guess a lot of people think, oh, non-attachment, yes, very individualized, and it just, linking this to the speech from Grab Business from Mr. Kwa, 74% were not linked to any loyalty programs, and from that survey, most of the respondents were under 30, so that kind of talks to that generation, and it was just interesting to see that I don't think it's, because they are, I guess, more individualized, they obviously know what they want, and therefore they may not be so easily attached to a certain thing. So I thought that was really, really interesting to see, but that's what I really love about them, seeing the world through their eyes, and seeing how we can work together for a win-win situation. So we've actually shared, from everyone sharing about what they love, a few of the centric behaviours of this generation. So starting off with you, Lars, what do you think are the most centric behaviours of this generation, and what do you think will resonate and motivate them the most coming into this industry?
I think they clearly would like to be involved and would like to be heard, and would like to have an impact and a voice in there. And to put this a little bit into perspective there, when I started my career, it was really more that when you started somewhere, you were put in a corner and you've been told you have to do this, and you did this for the next 3-4 weeks. And you were okay with that. You've been grown through that. I think this generation will not accept this anymore. They will not be happy with this. They are these. They would like to get involved. They would like to be trained, to be shown as well opportunities. I do these speeches at universities and meet their students. And what I always, especially in Vietnam, what I found fascinating here is that when you go into this Q&A session, one of the first things they're going to ask is, how can I make a career? What do I need to do? How can I get involved? And that is great to see. So very, very passionate there. One thing which I was very surprised about as well when I started really doing these university talks is there's a lot of focus on sustainability. So this generation, it is really focused on that. And we get that on a regular basis, that they ask us, what is your company, in this case Marriott, doing in terms of sustainability for our generation? So if you as a company, if you're not able to answer that and to provide these kind of information, that we have X, Y, Z programs, plans and all of that to address that, then you are not an attractive employer anymore. And I think that is a big change, and something which I appreciate about it as well, because it's driving the companies as well, right? It's not only coming from companies which are asking that, do you use plastic bottles or glass bottles or anything like that. It's your employees that will ask that. If you would like to have that talent, you have to address this. So this is, I think, a major change there, which I see.
Great, thank you, Lars. Jessica?
Yes, so to answer the questions about the behavior of the centric behavior of the new generation, I think it's, we all face that when we work with them. The term we use that they are the vulnerable generation. I don't know if you have come across that, because we feel like they are very easy to expose their emotions, not as resilient as the other generation. But when I worked with them for a while, I realized that all come from the way, all the events that happen when they grow up, they were surrounded with digital technologies. So when they grow up, it's very hard for them to concentrate, and that's influenced them in a way that they're seeking for new things all the time, seeking for new adventures. If things are repeating, they get bored very easily. And but I feel like that's not really their fault at all, but the way they grow up with all of the disturbance all the time, they get disturbed all the time, so they also have a very difficult time getting concentrate. So when on the job, that's their challenge, that they need to concentrate in one thing. But when we need them to multitask, they can do it very, very well. Other things I really love about them is they're very self-aware and social aware, social conscious. They know, and we living in a flat world, they know what's happening in the world, they know what's happening in their hometown, so they can be very open to new things. But if the environment that they live in that's not open, they cannot feel fit in. So I think when I know those behaviors that are very very popular among this generation, I feel like when we work with them, we really need a lot of compassion in order to understand them, and in order to motivate them and resonate them into the hospitality industry. There's a lot of works about whether it's not about just what you have that fit us, but they also think about what the company has that fit them. For example, if, like Lars says, if the company do a lot of CSR, they do a lot of campaigns about inclusiveness and inclusion, LGBT supportive or women supportive, they find themselves fitting and they find similar values. And that become a very strong part of them when they choose a career and choose a brand or choose a company. So I think we need to really take into consideration of those when we want to attract the young talents. Yeah.
So in a nutshell from both of you, like the why is something that's really important to them. So whoever's leading them really needs to, it's not about the what, but the why, and more, why. All right. But with the, I guess, when it comes to, if you're saying that, when they grow up, they want new things all the time. They can't stay in one position. So how are you looking at that at the moment in your hotel?
So motivate to get the staff.
Yeah. So like, especially in that aspect of that particular behaviour of wanting. Obviously, we know that they want to be involved, but if they want new things all the time, so how do we, drive that in the hotels? Yeah.
When we mentioned about this, the answer of the question, we better mention about the cultural environment of the business, in which the corporate culture is closely associated with the culture of the leader. Leaders must be properly aware of their responsibility and their roles in building a dynamic, inclusive, and suitable environment for the talent in the company. And the leaders must be the people who understand the talent psychology and behavior and expectation of the talent to propose firmly the talent, the development program, and fair welfare and rewards policy and promotion plan for them to make sure that they will work in the company for a long time and develop with the company. Yeah.
But in order, so that's just, I guess, building like a culture for them to be able to flourish. But right now at like the Luxe, for example, when we know that they want to, do new things so that they stay motivated and they don't get bored, is that what you mean, Jessica, that it's easy for them to get bored?
You mean like, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it's easy for them to lose focus. They want to do new things. So obviously we have to keep them motivated. So is that what you mean by new things?
Yeah, motivated or changing of job nature as well.
Okay.
When I work with students and at a very early stage, when they do internship, for example, they are not given a lot of duties and it's repeating and they're not really involved into the job. They get bored very easily. And I explain them the reason why it's like they're not really involved as an intern or at a very early stage. But if the job keep repeating, then they don't have the resilience to wait until it grows. It's shorter than other generations. That's what I perceive. Another thing, because this generation have a very strong entrepreneurial mindset, so they see things in a lot of angle. So if we keep the employees and youth talent in just one positions and keep them for a while without them seeing like the potential to grow into another area, another sectors, another positions or departments, they will easily to switch to another company, and they won't be able to wait as long as the other generation. That's what I perceive. Yeah.
I think the way we address that at Marriott is we have in Marriott we have a business council on the general managers level, where basically the general managers we're meeting on a regular basis and we talk and drive different initiatives and basically countrywide or company-wide initiatives. We copied this as well, the same principle for a next generation business council, what we call this. So this is really the young generation, the youngsters, which build a council nationwide. So from all Vietnam, they come together, they work together on initiatives they have an impact on, where they are as well. They've been given goals, but they have a word or an impact on that as well. What they would like to drive, they build their own goals, and they work there from different departments, different hotels, different initiatives on that. And this is something where we keep them very much engaged, and they get the voice, and they get an impact where they can drive these different things. And actually, Libor, my colleague, I'm not sure if he's still there. He's the vice chairman of this Junior Business Council for Vietnam, and they just recently actually won an award for that. So they've been recognized from Marriott that Vietnam, as a Junior Business Council, has started there an initiative which is recognized as well globally. So they've been invited as well to Washington for award ceremonies and all of that. So this is something which this young generation, in order to get them engaged and get them driven, and as well keep them attached to your company, is something which we've seen as very effective.
So this council is giving them the ability to voice and actually implement and really layer that out. Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And not being basically driven by us as general managers, being told this is what you have to do. They work and interact very independent. There's guidance from our side, but not an active involvement.
Okay, so how many people was in the council?
Well, this must be, I think it's every hotel in Vietnam has at least one or two, so we're looking at 30 people,
Okay.
30, 35,
Okay,
something.
nice. So they it becomes a community in the whole of Vietnam. Okay, great. And Irene, what are your thoughts on centric behaviours?
We have research on Gen Z in Vietnam as well, and so the few things we know, for example, and it's been mentioned from the practice, but the research will tell us too. So you call it easily bored. If you flip that around, it would be young people want to learn a lot. and quickly, and no, not 3 weeks in a corner. As enjoyable as it sounds. So we know that. We also know feedback is really important to them, and feedback and recognition, so both. And we know that flexibility and purpose, building in purpose and meaning into work is important. So, and I think it's ingenious. I should be rewarded for saying this about merit, but this is a fantastic initiative because it covers all of this, right? So it covers the new learning. One of the things I believe the hotel schools out of Switzerland that are promoting as well is the idea of cross-functional learning. And I think that, speaking of attracting talent, I think globally, one of the perceptions of hospitality is that it's a very hierarchical organization and quite traditional. But I see it differently from the outside. I think you are organizations where you can do so many roles, right? And it's such a business advantage if you are able to do different roles. So those are things you can cover. So the learning a lot quickly, feedback, that is important, and we have even numbers in that research that there's a high percentage of this generation who want daily feedback. They want to know, how am I doing? They also want recognition, but again, these are two different things. The flexibility, that is quite interesting because I was listening to the panel before lunch, and one of the panelists talked a lot about how stressful it was and how hard. And I was like, ooh, this is not good branding for a generation who wants life-work balance. So this is something you, as a industry, I think you want to address. And there are creative solutions around that. There are contracts that are, 60 or 80%, so you can address that.
Great, thanks, Irene. So leading on to our next question, what are the challenges to attracting Vietnamese youth? So it's funny that, Jessica, you mentioned the word entrepreneurship because I think, referencing Minh again from the University of Economics, that he mentioned that the students, they learn about entrepreneurship in the university, and so when they come into the hotel and they have to do the vocational skills, it's just not what they've been trained to do. They've been studying how to bring Phat in New York or whatever it is. So I find that a challenge is, okay, so if our graduate comes to work and they have this mindset of entrepreneurship, do we have leaders right now in the industry right now that's able to lead that kind of mindset? Because I believe that could be challenging if they're, long-term worker experience, but they may not be able to have, not necessarily the skills, but they may not have the ability to be able to manage that kind of mindset. So I'll start off with yourself, Johann. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anne. When coming back to the word challenges, especially regarding Gen Zs in a workplace, there are loads. I mean, if we zoom into our microscopes, like every single thing could be a reason for them not to apply for hotel schools and working in the hospitality industry. But actually, if you see like a much more holistic view or like a much more helicopter view, I would actually say that the way the things are done in hospitality for the past like centuries, probably, being a very customer-oriented industry, this is not basically what the Gen Z wants. Like at the moment, we've heard like a lot of ideas about Gen Zs and their behaviors. Actually, this is not what Gen Z wants. For example, we were mentioning like work-life balance, and they are always wanting like work-life balance. They also want high salary as well. Yeah, I haven't even mentioned salary, but like, sorry? Gen X too. Oh, okay.
Millennials also.
But actually, I don't know. I mean, like now, with my students and with my friends from the university who are like Gen Zs, as well. A lot of them are Vietnamese as well. They always talk about like, oh yeah, I don't want to work in hospitality because like the salary is this. I mean, like salary is always like number one. I mean, to be honest, for everyone. And to be honest, I was mentioning to Irene as well, like how to solve this challenging experience. We have to change as an industry. I'm not criticized like all of you, but to be honest, as a Gen Z, speaking from my perspective, like that's the way we should do it. But to be honest, that's as a hotelier as well. If I have my own hotel, I would not like change directly straight away. So yeah, as an overall, it's like the way things are doing for the past few years that needs changing to adapt to what the current generation wants. Thank you.
So the operators have to change. The university doesn't have to change.
Well, the universities they could change like the modules, they could change the curriculum. But to be honest, what we were mentioning as well before in our break, putting them into curriculum might not like have any impact for the students, for the Gen Zs. Back again, it's what's in the industry or what's in the hotels. So we could only socialize. It could be the start, telling them that this, but it might not impact when they're already in field. So yeah.
So yeah, just in my mind is just thinking about how to manage that expectation as well from the university and then coming into the real world. Lars, any challenges at Le Meridien?
At the real world, every day. No, it is. I mean, it depends. You see very significant differences there, actually, in different talents and where they're coming from. And I think universities carrying there a lot of responsibility as well, how they prepare these young talents into coming, the real world. And that is sometimes, yes, that is a culture shock. That what they have heard, what they have seen before, and once they get the feet on the ground, it's a little bit of a wake-up call. But I think there is, basically a compromise of both sides necessary. What we do very strong is that really we try to engage with the universities. We try to go there actively as well and invite them into the hotels, but as well going there and making these Q&A sessions with the students in order to give them that opportunity that you can ask questions, you get real life examples, to break down that wall a little bit, to open them up and open these eyes.
Harry, because you have the hotel in Chao Doc as well, so obviously it's a bit different to Saigon. Do you find that the challenges are the same in Saigon and Chao Doc, or a little bit different?
I think it's the same. And the panelists said want to say about the Gen Z. And they would like to do anything, but they don't have enough knowledge and skill to do that. And they can learn from the manager, from the colleges and their friends. But sometimes they spend a lot of time for some healing activities and playing game and TikTok, And that's why I think that they don't focus on job training, because in the hotel I set up a lot of training program for them, but just not too much many staff. They focus on this and join the program, and I think that's challenging for me when I work at a hotel to make the Gen Z focus on training program and make them feel they will have more knowledge and skill to develop themselves. Yeah.
So do you mean that they are not motivated to do the training because they feel they don't need it? Okay.
I think that they think that they are talent and they know everything on the world.
I would challenge that a little bit. I think in this case you just have to look at how these trainings are delivered, because if they're delivered in the way and the style that we are used to that, then I agree, it's not attractive to them. So we have to take a look at what technologies do we use to provide these trainings, how do we deliver them, and in what kind of frame. I mean, to be very honest, the 4-hour classroom style of how do I make a check-in, how do I make a check-out, that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't attract anybody, and no, there won't be any interest in that. So I think that's the way I would look at that. It's you have to adapt the way you deliver these trainings.
And has has Marriott, with the e-learning, has that gone?
We do again. They're different. They're on-the-job trainings. They're the daily 50 minutes training. But there as well, you have a whole basically library of online training classes as well, which you can do actually as well on your mobile phone. You can log in any time, whenever you have time to log in, and you get into your own profile. You can sign up for your own training courses you would like to do, and some of them are actually half based online and half practical. So there are different companies and tools which are used. So yeah, you have to adapt that. It's very different to my again 3 weeks sitting in the corner and polishing glasses kind of training. So that luckily has evolved.
We're going to start with the Q&A, Lars, and I actually want you to answer this first question because you were talking about how the leaders deliver that training to this new generation if there is a problem of them not being motivated to do that training, let's say, is potentially to do with that delivery. So this talks to between the generations. There's a sharp decline in application. Sorry. Oh, where did that question go? There it is. How do you manage generation gaps and harmony among the staff so that it would push team performance, not fragmented groups? Great question.
Okay, interesting one. I think it's a matter of this inclusion, right? It's not anymore this top to bottom training and learning and work. It's becoming much more as well the bottom to top. I think if you show your team and the different teams as well within, that we learn very often as much from them as they can learn from us, then there is a much different engagement and interest in building that together. That is a key thing from my perspective. I'm not sure if that answers that.
Great. Irene, would you like to share a little bit from in terms of leadership training, what you've seen? Yeah, yes, please. Thank you.
I think mindset is really important. So if our generation who may be managing younger people, if we go in, well, if I had to sit 3 weeks in a corner, you will do that too, which I've seen, not necessarily in Vietnam, but in other places, then that will, of course, that's confrontational, right? If we do it strength-based and we look, that's why I loved your first question so much. What do you love about the generation, right? So creativity was my first word. And the flip side of that is we can't focus too much on one thing because we're so creative, but use the strength. And so be aware of it and then use it. And try to push your bias as far away as possible and sometimes on a daily basis as an older leader. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Irene. Next question. There's a sharp decline in applications for hospitality majors since COVID. What has your brand done to proactively change the perceptions of job uncertainty? I know this is probably a question for hotels, but I would like Johann to talk to this one because, yep.
First of all, it's true. There's a sharp decline in the hospitality industry during COVID. And the reason, to be honest, is that COVID changed all of us, but it impacted our generation the most, because when COVID happens, it's actually during the times where it's I'm not sure how to say this, but it's the ages where we're really, really developing, which is they finish high school and they are in university. And usually during university, it's the time where they really get to know who they are. So actually during these times, it really impacted them. So for example, they're already in hotel schools and they've seen what COVID is doing with online classes and work is done online. And I'm not really sure about hotels though, but probably for MICE, if you're looking at MICE, events are done online as well. And to be honest, because this is their first experience and they really love it. They really love we're at home, we don't have to go anywhere, we don't have to wake up early, we can just do it with our shorts on and all these things, like, and they're loving it, and they're really used to this sort of idea. So yeah, that's actually the main problem why Gen Z really loves this. But as an educator, or what are we supposed to do? Is like, to be honest, the only way we're supposed to change this kind of thinking is like, yeah, tell them the real truth. You know, like you're in hospitality, especially if you want to work in hotels, it's totally offline. It's not like an online industry where it's, for example, now like creative, tech, or like other industries. It's not like this. It's totally different. So what you really need to do is, yeah, you really need to know the truth and accept the truth. That's it. Thank you very much, Anne.
All right. And Harry, in terms of like when it comes to job uncertainty, everyone's thinking maybe, oh, you know, COVID #2. If this is going to happen, what's the point of trying to go for a career in hospitality? What would you say to that while we wrap this up?
Because of COVID-19, a lot of staff, they lost their job, and when they go back to the hotel to work, they need to they have to work in staffing and contributing, and they need to the company adapt their expectation about the salary, about the benefits, and anything to make sure that they will keep the job if any pandemic happen again. And when you work at a hotel, I always talk to the staff to make sure that they will calm and be sure to secure the job in the hotel and make them feel that they are the important staff in the hotel, and the hotel just working if they are still work with the company. And I always spend time to talk with them to listen their expectation and what role they want to develop in the future, and what they want to do and they want to have. And I will inform the police to the director and founder to give them the policy, maybe the welfare or rewards policy to make them feel secure in the job. Yeah.
But also, I think hospitality also opens up many other careers, right? Once you have those skills, there's just so many other things to go through. So that's the end of our panel session. I guess great. I hope everyone's heard some great centric behaviours on how we can, attract and retain the youth of the future. So thank you everyone today for your time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Anne and Avina.